Republicans have the House, the Senate, the presidency, and some would argue they have the courts, considering the makeup of the United States Supreme Court. And so they have the ability to keep the government open if they wanted to. Democrats have been very clear about the things that they want in terms of bringing their votes to the table. We
Mm.
want to cancel the cuts, lower the costs, and save healthcare. That includes keeping or extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits that are set to expire at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Now, there are some who will say in America that they expired at the end of the year. We have time. Well, I disagree with that because insurance companies will send out their premiums in the next few weeks, and people will see the rising costs of healthcare on those insurance premiums that will be mailed out in just a few weeks.
Now, America and the government shutdown. A minute past midnight, that was the first moment in almost 7 years the US Congress had failed to agree a funding deal. It put hundreds of thousands of federal workers at risk of furlough, even being laid off. And I spoke earlier to Kate Batchelor-Adele, who's an editorial board member at the Wall Street Journal. She told me whether the shutdown might be bad news for the Democrats.
I think the Democrats have a little bit of a problem here because their initial ask was so high. They wanted about $1.5 trillion in new spending, including repealing some of President Trump's signature achievements from this year in his big budget bill that were just non-starters for Republicans. And so I think the Democrats have voted before to keep the government open many times, and I'm not sure Democrats can benefit or win politically if the shutdown goes longer and longer.
Oh, well, that's Kate Batchelor-Adele from the Wall Street Journal. I can talk now to Antjuan Seawright, who's a Democrat strategist who formerly advised Hilary Clinton. Good afternoon to you, Antjuan.
Good to be with you.
So what's your feeling about the shutdown now? How long is it going to last? Because these shutdowns last for very long.
Well, it's hard to say. Look, at the end of the day, I disagree with the editorial person you had from the Wall Street Journal. This is the Republican healthcare government shutdown. Republicans have the House, the Senate, the presidency, and some would argue they have the courts, considering the makeup of the United States Supreme Court. And so they have the ability to keep the government open if they wanted to. Democrats have been very clear about the things that they want in terms of bringing their votes to the table. We want to cancel the cuts, lower the costs, and save healthcare. That includes keeping or extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits that are set to expire at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Now, there are some who will say in America that they expired at the end of the year. We have time. Well, I disagree with that because insurance companies will send out their premiums in the next few weeks, and people will see the rising costs of healthcare on those insurance premiums that will be mailed out in just a few weeks.
I mean, no question. The Republican Party has control of the Senate, of the House of Representatives, has control of Capitol Hill. But if this shutdown goes on, Antjuan, then a lot of people you would consider your traditional supporters, part of your base, are going to suffer. And, it can be argued it's within the power of the Democrats to stop that happening. Might that not bounce back on you?
Well, let me say this. I think when people talk about the policies that impact America, I think what they don't realize, and I think Republicans are realizing this, the policies that Republicans are advocating for, they impact Republicans too. They impact Republicans, traditional Republicans constituencies too. What I do think people realize is Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So any policy agenda or lack of policy agenda is on their regard. They've done nothing, absolutely nothing to lower costs, make America accessible or affordable in any way, shape, or form. Instead, they've continued to reward billionaires and millionaires in this country, and the American people know that. Farmers know that, truckers know that, everyday industry folks know that. And so I disagree with the notion that it's going to impact Democrats. It's going to impact the country, and they will bear the responsibility.
I mean, it has been argued, and Antjuan, that in seeking to, provisionally offer some kind of support for this funding bill and keep the federal government open, you aimed too high. You were seeking terms which included a way over $1 trillion deal on tax. Was that just asking too much?
Well, I think that's silly. In fact, I've heard so many different things, and all of them are simply misinterpretations of the truth. In my community, they call it lies. We've heard Speaker Johnson, we've heard the president and the vice president say that Democrats want to give health care to illegal aliens. Well, that's simply not true. That's against the law in this country. In order to receive health care, you have to have a social security number. And so there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and lies floating around from Republican leaders all across our country because they know that they shoulder the blame of this government shutdown. At the end of the day, what Democrats have said is let's make health care the top negotiating point. So let's lower the cost, let's save health care, and let's make certain that we make health care accessible and affordable in this country. That includes canceling those cuts. That will be the largest cuts to Medicaid in the history of this country.
Antjuan Seawright, a Democrat Party strategist. Thank you.
Clean CR to keep the government open while we work to return the appropriation process to regular order. The reason the government is shut down this morning is because the Democrats decided they would rather hold our government hostage and issue a $1.5 trillion ransom note of radical demands and then instead of joining us as we try to govern. Make no mistake, their top priority is not fighting for Americans' health care.
Republicans control the House, they control the Senate, and the White House. They could act right now to prioritize the health care of the American public. That's why Democrats are in town. That's why Democrats are here. We're ready to work in a bipartisan way to keep government open, to lower costs, and to save health care. For months, we have been sounding the alarm that the Republican healthcare crisis that has been manufactured by House Republicans needs to end.
Thank you, Senator Schumer. Yes, I am. At this point, it seems like a shutdown is inevitable. When you get to that point,
in an environment where the cost of living is already too high, our position is a simple one. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care. That's what this fight is all about. We're here, we're ready, we're willing and able to find a bipartisan path forward to fund the government in a way that actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being. But here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. Not now, not ever. We are here